If you listen to our promos this week announcing our guest on the show, one of the things we promised to deliver upon was the information on these 10-minute oil change type establishments, that they may not be such a good idea. And here to talk about that with us in depth today is Rob McMullen, owner of Scotty's Lube Pros here in Northern Nevada. And Rob, welcome back to our show, by the way.
Good morning, Mitch.
You know, I say this, and this is really the truth. These shops that, and I'm not making a blanket statement because there's exceptions in every area of the industry, but in most cases, and unfortunately in this case, 98, 99% of the time, these in and out type oil change places are not such a good idea for our community, and I want to expose why. If you start with maybe the Lube Pros and describe what Lube Pros is.
Mitch, Lube Pros is a business that has been designed specifically for preventative maintenance. And a lot of people think that changing their oil is that's all that their car needs. Every time a car goes in to have the oil changed, it should be inspected at a higher level other than just trying to get it in and out of the shop in 10 minutes. I think a lot of times things get missed.
Well, there's no doubt about that, and we're going to uncover some of this because it's really to expose it to our community. So some of the individuals that are currently opting for that for price alone, don't get confused. They could not be ultimately saving money in the long run. Let's talk about just the oil quality that goes into having to provide these really inexpensive oil changes.
Like anything, Mitch, out there, there's levels of quality, and with that, there's different fees, different costs involved, and so sometimes the profit margins get so thin that they have to use inferior oils or lesser quality oils because those cost less to us as business owners, so we can pass that savings along to the consumer.
Well, and a lot of these discount 10-minute type oil shops, I mean, they're competing at pennies to price compare against another fast oil change service, and they're it's almost like if they can save a penny a drum of oil that they need to be competitive. But in the oil quality itself, well, let's describe oil and quality and viscosities and what you use at Scotty's in comparison to these types of shops.
We use Chevron oils and Mobil 1 synthetic oils, and Chevron synthetic oils, as well as petroleum-based oils. Highest quality oils in the industry. Chevron has been a pillar in the oil business for years and years. So, using the lesser quality oils, you can only imagine what it takes to produce a superior oil. There's more additives, there's more lubricants, all the way down the line. These things are engineered to provide the best lubrication possible. Anytime you can provide that for your engine, obviously that's going to make your engine last longer.
Oh, and those repairs are catastrophic repairs. We're not talking about, I think this is one of the most commonly misunderstood parts of that oil change process is I think people have this thought process that the difference between these cheap oil changes and an oil change, for an example, with an organization like yours could be hundreds of dollars, and it's fractions.
It's literally almost pennies, Mitch. I mean, we have to be competitive as well, but my philosophy is don't lower my standards to be competitive. Let's raise the value and show the customer that, for maybe just another $1 or $2 in most cases, we're talking a couple bucks here, we can provide the highest quality oils and filters, and along with that, not rush that car through so that we can get another car in so we can make another $2 off of that car. That's not our philosophy. Our philosophy is to take the time to do the proper inspection, also to pull up the vehicle's history. Once a vehicle's in our shop, we keep a computerized history of that. We can go back, see what's been done. We can also pull up the manufacturer's recommended service intervals on not just your oil changes, but we're talking transmission services, differentials, transfer cases, things like timing belts. All this stuff has maintenance intervals, and it needs to be followed, because if it isn't, catastrophic failures can happen.
Well, and we're going to get to that part of this because that's the other thing that is not necessarily getting done in these 10-minute I got you and got you out, your oil's changed. And I don't want to miss on the fact that the quality of that oil. I think people think oil is oil, gas is gas. We had a show before where we talked about top tier fuels. They're not the same as some of these cheaper gasoline products. It's the same thing in oils, but oils lubricate the most essential part of your car and one of the most expensive parts of your car to repair. And you're talking $1 or $2, and somebody may be sacrificing the quality of the oil, but it's not just the oil that they're using inferior products on. A lot of times it's the filter.
That's correct. Filters are measured by microns, and obviously, the smaller the particle that filter can trap, that's less particles that's floating around in the oil inside of the engine, so less damage is being done because the filter is actually capturing those particles.
And the manufacturer has recommendations about what gets trapped and passed through.
Absolutely, and there are a ton of oil filters out there, Mitch, that don't meet that specification. And for a few more pennies, you can put on a higher quality filter that meets the manufacturer's specification.
Again, protecting the biggest part of the investment of your automobile and one of the most catastrophic repairs should it fail. And then some of these inferior oil filters, and it just fascinates me if you can describe some of the failures you've seen around them. For people that have come in and they thought they saved a couple of bucks, but they didn't. They cost themselves thousands of dollars when they're doing an engine repair.
Absolutely. We've seen the actual internal filter component, the filter media, collapse inside the filter, and that blocks the oil from going through there, or at least slows it down enough to where the engine has lost oil pressure. And when you lose oil pressure in an engine, Mitch, it's very, very expensive.
And it's not like you have much warning. It's if you're done.
It happens so fast, Mitch, and all of a sudden you hear rattling and knocking, and you shut it off, and the next you think, oh, what the heck happened? You go to restart it, and it's knocking and rattling. You've already destroyed an engine that will cost thousands of dollars.
And the problem is you can't look inside this enclosed oil filter to tell which quality it is as a consumer. It's a sealed case, and it's on the car, and you're assuming that this reputable business, because it's got a big building, fancy building, and does a lot of marketing, wouldn't use an inferior oil filter on my $50,000 car, but they're just using what they're using.
Yep.
And what you're using is meeting the manufacturer's recommendations, and a lot of times even the OEM, if you'll describe that.
That's correct. OEM, original equipment manufactured. There's a specification, and sometimes the manufacturer builds that part for us, and there are instances where we only recommend using OEM parts. There are other instances we can use OEM approved or OEM matched specification parts.
Exactly, where the specifications, like you said, and the microns passing through are still covered. And the other thing is that some of these inferior oil filters tend to start to leak as well. I've seen the seals around those. They have gaskets on them as well.
Yeah, in order to make that filter cheap, they use poor quality, or I don't want to call it poor, lesser quality materials building the filter. And one of the most important things is the actual seal that seals the filter to the engine. And so there may be less of a seal there. We see the lower quality filters leak all the time.
Well, and you started to get into this, and this is really one of the biggest areas that we feel that these in and out type oil change shops fail in is, I think people think that they've just serviced their car, and you mentioned that there are so many other areas of that vehicle that should have been paid attention to, and there's a commercial out now, and we both have to chuckle about this one because in one way it tries to solicit the fact that we're so quick, we're going to do it while you're moving, but in the other sense it should be that red flag to the community that what are they missing? So I'll let you talk about that commercial.
I did have to chuckle when I saw that commercial, Mitch. And so just to briefly describe it, it's a couple mechanics riding a toolbox, and they're chasing a vehicle down the road, and then the announcer goes on to say, we're not here to fix your car. We just want to change your oil. That I think we're missing a big component here. Yes, the oil needs to be changed every 3,000 to 5,000 miles on almost every vehicle. That's such a small part of what that vehicle consists of. And so if the car's going in and out of that shop in 10 minutes, what truly can be inspected in 10 minutes? More than likely, all you're getting is your oil and your filter change, and you're sent on down the road.
Well, and then what is the stuff that they're missing? You started to touch on it. Let's go through those, if you will, the things that if they brought their car into you for, like you said, fractions, pennies or $1 or $2, sometimes more, that you would have checked on their car while you were at it.
Again, our goal is not to fix every car that comes in. Our goal is to inform the consumer that if we see something that needs attention, we can let them know that, so that maybe we can take care of something at that point that may be a minimal cost versus doing a catastrophic failure, even a week down the road.
Or getting stuck somewhere with your family on going out to Disneyland or in a dark area with your kids in the car.
Absolutely. How scary can that be? So, we're literally doing a complete safety inspection on this vehicle. We're looking at the brakes. We're looking at shocks or struts. We perform a battery and charging system test free of charge.
And you also mentioned that if the cables are corroded,
we'll clean them up for you.
Part of the oil change process.
Part of the oil change process. It takes us a little bit longer to do that, but just by keeping those cables clean, you can stop so many electrical problems from happening in your vehicle.
And you're right about that. We did a show about that recently, and it just by taking the moment while you're there, and again, you're not going to get that in a "I'm changing your oil while you're driving down the street" company.
Right. Yeah. All this stuff can't be done in 10 minutes. And that's my point. So, it's not that we take a long time to get it done. We take the right amount of time that it takes to do it properly.
And you do it fast. I mean, they come in. You can do it while they wait.
Absolutely. We can do it while you wait. A lot of our customers, they drop their cars off in the morning. They're there all day. So, we can move that car out of the way and we can bring in a customer that wants to wait for it. It will take more than 10 minutes. I guarantee it, Mitch.
A typical oil change, if I came down to the shop, takes approximately how much?
25, 30 minutes at the most. But the time that we spend, if you allow us to spend that time with your vehicle, you're going to roll out of there and know that your vehicle is in tip-top shape or not.
Well, one of the other problems with these other establishments is if they do find something wrong, the reason they won't search for it is they have no capacity to repair it, and you do. So please share how you have that capacity built in.
Well, along with Scotty's Lube Pros, we also have Scotty's transmissions. So we talked about the maintenance intervals recommended by the manufacturer. One of the things that we do every time your car comes in is we pull up those maintenance intervals from the manufacturer, and we can see that, hey, your transmission's due for a service at this time. Again, a lot of shops, if they just want to get it in and get it out the door, they're not going to take the time to do that because they're not going to do those extra things that need to be maintained.
If you hear a throw-out bearing rattling, you have Scotty's Clutch Pro.
We have Clutch Pros, and then also in the same facility at the same location, we have RPM Automotive, which in that division, we can take care of things like timing belts, brakes, literally bumper to bumper.
Water pumps, radiators, coolants, air conditioning, the whole car.
All the things you just mentioned, Mitch, are things we're looking at every time it comes in for an oil change. So
if it does need something, you have it right on the property. How do they get a hold of you over there?
At 1510 Glendale Avenue in Sparks, Nevada, at 359-0840 or 359-1133. And you can visit our website at RPM Automotive Inc. That's inc.com.
And that's Rob McMullen, owner of Scotty's Lube Pro, Clutch Pro, Scotty's Transmission, and RPM Automotive. Tremendous business in our community. If you're having your oil changed in one of these other types of locations, just visit them once. You'll stop doing that, and you'll thank us. And please email us and let us know that we made a difference in your life. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mitch.